What's up, guys? Brendan back here again today with another comic review on the channel. Today, we're reviewing the newest #1 of Amazing Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man #1 of 2025. We're going to review it, and yeah, let's get into it. So, this is the first, Spider-Man comic, Amazing Spider-Man comic specifically I have bought in a long time. You know, I was reading, when I was reading comics, back in, several years ago now, or 10 years ago now. You get the point. Back when I was reading, when I first started reading Spider-Man comics, it was during the Superior Spider-Man run. I enjoyed that. I thought it was good. And, I kept reading afterwards, going to the next, the main Amazing Spider-Man run by Dan Slott. And then the next one after that during the all different Marvel era. But then afterwards, I stopped that very soon because, when I learned they were doing a clone storyline, they were doing, a sequel to the Clone Saga called The Clone Conspiracy, or, a third Clone Saga, really, because the first Clone Saga is actually a sequel to another Clone Saga from back in the 70s. It's a whole thing. And yeah, when I learned that, I was no. No. I'm not reading, I'm not gonna, get involved in reading a Clone Saga, Clone Conspiracy, whatever you want to call it. I'm not getting involved in reading that. I just don't want to, because I've heard, we've all heard about it. If you've been around the internet, you've heard how bad a Clone Saga is. Nobody likes the Clone Saga. I've never heard good things about it, so I'm I don't want to get involved in, a new clone storyline. But then for Christmas this year, I got the Volume 1 of the Clone Saga omnibus, so I'm going to have to read a Clone Saga storyline at some point then. So, yeah. So I haven't read Amazing Spider-Man in a while. I am currently collecting Ultimate Spider-Man, reading that, and that's quite good, And, yeah, the consensus overall of Amazing Spider-Man has been not good lately, obviously, because, it's been rough. It's been rough as hell. Because the last run, being Zeb Wells' run, is hated by fans and everyone. Nobody likes it because, many things did wrong. A lot of storylines were not good. The Gang War storyline I heard was not great. Peter becomes Goblin, Spider-Goblin in the book randomly at one point. They kill Ms. Marvel in the book, which I thought was so random. Why are you killing a big character like Kamala Khan in the Amazing Spider-Man book? It's weird. And then, of course, Paul. Everybody knows who Paul is. The infamous Paul. The whole thing with Mary Jane, that thing, just, riles up people's gears when you talk about Paul. But, yeah, I've heard it was not good. I've read one issue from Wells' run, and that was I only read it because it was part of one of the Blood Hunt tie-ins that I read on Marvel Limited, and that was it. But, yeah, I've heard not good things about it. And, so yeah, and then also there was, after his run ended, right before this one, we had the little interlude run, I guess you want to call it, the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man, which was also written by the same writer of this, Joe Kelly, but I think he partially wrote it, and then someone else took over. I'm not really sure what happened there, and it was drawn by Ed McGuinness, who, I like Ed McGuinness' art style. I liked it when he drew Batman Superman back in the day, and also when he, helped co-create Red Hulk. He's got a very big, kind of bulky style. It looks good, I like it, just I don't think it worked for Spider-Man really, so, I don't know. Yeah, expectations were kind of I wasn't sure. I didn't really know what to think going into this. I was okay, it's not been looking great. I didn't like Spider-Man comics when I was finishing up reading them back in the day. I've heard they've not been good lately. So, but I was interested in this. I was you know what? Honestly, I'll check this out. A new #1. I'll check it out because the major reason why I checked it out honestly was the artist Pepe Larraz's art I really dug. Honestly. That's doing the heavy lifting for me in this book, his art. I'll show you right here, the cover, this is the main cover, and it's this beautiful double-page spread of, Spider-Man of all his villains there. It looks really great. It looks awesome. I got Spider-Man there, he's being chased by, Sandman, got Rhino, got Black Cat, got Electro, Hobgoblin, Lizard, Kraven, Shocker, Mysterio. They're all there. It looks great. Honestly, Pepe might be my current favorite my favorite current artist of Spider-Man books. I think his style looks great. I think the way there's a great reflection or shine he puts on the suit that looks really nice. The posing is really nice and dynamic. There's even this one shot in the book early on, right at the beginning, where it flashes back to a quick shot of when he was fighting Green Goblin back in the day, and just the way the eyes look on the suit, the way it was expressing looked great. So I love Pepe's art, and this looks great. I think it's better than what probably Ed was doing with Spider-Man. And also John Romita Jr. from Wells' run, which, I love John Romita Jr. He's great. His art is always really great. Daredevil looked great. His Spider-Man stuff 4 looked great. He does a lot of great work. It's just, I feel his art during Zeb Wells' run, from what I saw, was not some of his best. It's kind of it's kind of similar to how people can talk about Jim Lee's art currently in Batman Hush 2, where it's good, but it's just not Jim Lee's best. And that's kind of like the same thing with John Romita Jr. So it's like his art there is good, it's just not his best. And yeah, I was exposed to Pepe Larraz this year with last year with Blood Hunt. I thought his art was great there. And yeah, I really dig his art here. And of course, you have Joe Kelly also writing it. You know, he's written Spider-Man a lot before. He's written a lot of that. Written a lot of Deadpool also written some DC stuff like JSA and Superman as well and all that. So yeah, they both solid a solid team they have here as well. They also still do have John Romita Jr. on the book. He's just drawing the backup in the book, which we'll get into. And yeah, but yeah, overall, again, the other Spider-Man books lately have been better than this. You know, Ultimate Spider-Man running laps around Amazing Spider-Man, embarrassingly so. The Spectacular Spider-Men, great book I've heard. That it's a team up with Miles. It's now been canceled. It's not even coming to an end because why not? I think Miles' book's been pretty good also, but then there's been some other stuff not been great, like, you know, this current book, and then also the Gwen come back as Gwenpool now, which that's a whole thing we're not going to get into. But yeah, expectations were kind of like timid. They were like, don't know what to expect with this. And overall, I'm just saying right now, it's fine. There's probably not gonna be a lot of deep discussion in this book because, you know, a lot of it's like it's a lot of your typical Spider-Man stuff, which I was like I was fine with. I was like, all right, this is okay, but I'm not sure how a lot of other people feel about it because, like, you know, a lot of other people have probably been reading Spider-Man longer than me now at this point, so like they maybe have seen this stuff too much, maybe, I don't know, but for me it was okay. Yeah, the book just starts off with Peter, like, he's just trying to get a job, and, you know, he's trying to get a job anywhere, and they keep asking about, like, what's your strengths, what's your weaknesses, and, you know, it cuts between, like, some flashes of him, like, you know, fighting crime and working on his web shooters and all that, and, you know, he keeps saying losing jobs because of one reason or another, like, oh, your attendance is spotty, I've seen from other places, like, your doctorate got revoked because you plagiarized Otto Octavius' work, which is what happened, you know, when Doc Ock was in his body, all that, you know, he comes in one day, like, with a big wound on his face from, like, being, you know, a sewer grate or, like, manhole cover being chucked at his head, and he refused to take a blood test when they asked him if he could, and he runs off in one of the meetings because he has to go fight crime and everything, all that stuff, typical stuff, and then it cuts to him at Aunt May's apartment helping to, like, you know, like, put some frames up and everything. They're talking. He's like, yeah, Parker Luck strikes again, can't get a job, you know, all that. You know, they're top of the feast and saying, like, oh, why don't you come stay for dinner, Peter? Like, the feast people are coming over. Like, you know, typical stuff you expect from Spider-Man comics. Then, of course, he eventually does get a call from his old friend from middle school named Brian Nehring. I think they pronounce it Nehring. I think so. Calls him up saying, I got a job for you, man. I put in a good word for you. The boss at Rand Industries, you know, Iron Fist. Obviously, it's not actually Iron Fist. It's someone else who works at Rand Industries, though. And, yeah. Tells him I got a job for you and everything. And this is apparently a new character who did not exist before. They created him for the storyline as of, like, you know, someone from Peter's past from middle school. Because, you know, we know about his high school friends a lot. Don't know about his middle school friends, I guess, really. Although I assume, like, a lot of his friends from high school were also in middle school, like, you know, Harry and Flash and so on. And Aunt May's not a fan of him. Like, when he tells her, remember this Brian from middle school? You know, her speech bubble has, like, some, like, kind of icicle effect on the bomb that's saying, yes, I do. Like, she's, like, clearly not a fan of him. Because, you know, him and Peter got into a lot of trouble back in the day, pulling pranks, everything, all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, he calls him up, offers the job. Once again, he has to leave because there's trouble happening, and we cut to then the big fight of the comic, which is him fighting Rhino in the streets and everything. And, like, again, art is great here. It looks great. The posing is dynamic. Rhino looks great. Looks so good. You know, the fight with Rhino, it's not Spider-Man saying how something's off with Rhino. It's kind of weird. Like, he's saying how, like, you know, Rhino's been relatively chill for a bit. Muscle for hire, sure, but a bad you can talk to? This is new, because he's been talking the whole fight, and Rhino's not saying anything, which is unusual. You know, gets into a big fight with him, like, chucks a giant, like, truck on him and all that stuff. And, you know, there's even a nice little, like, topical joke, I guess we want to call it, where he's asking him, like, you know, why are you running a rampage right now through city, man? Like, what's going on? Like, is there a new, like, horn moisturizer you want to get your hands on? Like, size 72 sneakers on sale? Or, like, Dazzler tickets, which is, like, a joke about how, you know, recently Taylor Swift tickets have made people go crazy for buying them. So I think that's the joke here, obviously, with Dazzler. But then all of a sudden, Rhino's heart stops, and, like, Spider-Man starts panicking. He's trying to, like, you know, give him CPR, which is not easy because Rhino's hide, his armor, makes it very hard to apply CPR to. He does. We do learn next page he did manage to revive him and everything. He's currently in hospital care at Ravencroft and all that. And this is where we cut to our main villain of this current storyline, really, I guess, which is Roderick Kingsley, who is the Hobgoblin, which I'm very excited about that. That's what also kind of interests me because I saw the previews for the next few covers of the series and Hobgoblin's on a lot of them. So clearly he's the current main villain, which I'm excited for. I'm a big fan of Hobgoblin. I grew up watching a lot of the Spider-Man animated series from the 90s, even though I was born, after the 90s. But, back in the day, back in the 2000s, you couldn't go to any Blockbuster or video store or whatever without some DVD of Spider-Man the animated series. And, my cousins had a bunch of them I borrowed, or I had VHS tapes, so I watched it a lot. And Hobgoblin was prevalent in that show. He was in the show first before Green Goblin, do the whole thing with the toys. So I was always a big fan of him. I like his design, and I preferred him over Green Goblin, honestly. And also, he was voiced by Mark Hamill in the 90s, so extra points there. But yeah, so clearly he's the villain, and his assistants tell him how Rhino's in care now, he's fine, and everything. But he tells him how apparently the markers are present. He's a customer, District 11, and everything, which confuses Roderick. He's one would expect someone of his skill set to live in a better part of town. Something to remember next time we need big dumb muscle just with a sweet tooth. Monster. Intervene only if the compounds are in danger of discovery, so clearly they experimented on him. But he does say Rhino volunteered apparently willingly for something with them, but then he wasn't really sure exactly what it was he was doing. So yeah, it's current mystery there right now, and they're in danger. They have to keep a watch on them. So clearly something's going on. And he tells some mystery shadowy guy who's just lurking in his room right now, asking for his help, saying, "Hey, Spider-Man, he's gonna obviously investigate this. Because he's kind of buddy with Rhino, because and Rhino kind of a little bit of a friendly rivalry and everything, all that." So he asks him, "Hey, go look into this," and he's like, "Yeah, I got it under control." And I think also tells him where the Hobgoblin costume, because I have an image to uphold. I think that's what at least I'm thinking he's implying here. So I think so. I'm not really sure. We have no idea who this mystery guy is and everything. So yeah, there's clearly some mystery here about what he's doing. And afterwards, Peter is at a bar or some restaurant with his roommate Randy Robertson, who's Robbie Robertson's kid from the Bugle. And he's also on a date. They're both on a date. Peter's on a date currently around with this girl named Shay, who I think was introduced during 8 Deaths. It's his current, well, not official girlfriend yet, but they're clearly that's gonna be the plan here. They're just right now, they're not exclusive. He's on probation and all that. And Randy's talking about how he's a social worker and how lately, his casework has been mad. Lately, people have been slamming doors in his face, all his customers, family people, good people, everyone out in East Harlem, which is the same place that Rhino's actually lives in. So Peter's suspicious. And, he goes around his apartment to investigate because he's concerned. He doesn't understand why Rhino went on a rampage. And while there, we see some mysterious guy, some eyes lurking in the shadows, which I can't tell if it was the actual person that was sent after him by Kingsley or anything or whatever. But then his Spider Sense going crazy. And then we get this great double page splash of Spider-Man being attacked, presumably by all his villains and everything. And it's probably some hallucination, I imagine, because I can't imagine they're all there right now. So yeah, we have everyone there. We got Lizard, Hammerhead, Scorpion, Kraven, Mr. Negative maybe, Carnage, Electro, Mysterio, Taskmaster maybe, Doc Ock, Vulture, Morbius, Green Goblin, Shocker, some symbiote character I can't recognize, and whoever this guy is way in the back, and this big head dude here. But yeah, again, great art. And that's the end of that arc, that storyline. And then we get the backup in the book, which is called Death to a Tyrant, written by Joe Kelly and drawn by John Romita. It's not much, really, what it is that Norman's here talk about how he's holding a press conference with the intention to announce he's resigning from Oscorp due to recent stuff that happened with him being Green Goblin, which, probably something from whatever Zeb Wells was doing and everything. But then, of course, at this press conference, obviously someone's there named Six Semper Monstrum. He might be a character, I'm not really sure. He comes attacking him saying, "Oh, you killed my wife, I want revenge," all that. And then, Norman comes and takes him out, defeats him and everything, all that. And then it cuts to a scene from the past where Spider-Man was talking to him how, there are a bunch of people who want to see you pay for your past, Norman. I should be high on that list, maybe number one. But people can change when they give themselves the space to believe change is possible. And your mind's clear, free for the first time since you became the Goblin, maybe the first time ever. Is quitting the best you can come up with. And then obviously after this whole moment, Norman decides, no, I'm not gonna quit. Actually, he then decides he's gonna dedicate the rest of his time in Oscorp and all of Oscorp's resources to help people he's wronged in his past and make their lives better. As he states, as he was reminded by a friend recently, those who abuse power, those who have abused power those who have abused great power, if given the chance, have a responsibility to make amends. So yeah, that's what he's doing. We're setting up that. Not much there. And I thought the book was about to end here, obviously, because then we get into like letter pages and like, you know, the preview cover for issue 2. But no, there's like another backup, which this is like the big thing. I was not a fan of this book. There's like 2 backups in here. It's not much. These like explorers go to Arizona, look at this rock, which apparently they refer to as some kind of like petrified tree trunks. Apparently some like, you know, indigenous people found out there was like cosmic radiation there or whatever. La-di-la-di-da. The thing collapses on everybody. I think most of them die except for one guy. And then he says the Hellgate is open, and we get the brand new villain, who I assume his name is Hellgate, out here. He kind of looks like Ares from DC Comics, so yeah. Yeah, this is the one thing I was not a big fan of with this book, because, like, you know, a lot of comics have backup stories, but normally not 2, as far as I know. Like, that to me just felt like it was almost tacked on. Like, what it felt like was they realized, hey, here's this brand new villain that Spider-Man's gonna fight in this comic, obviously, at some point. So let's, like, introduce him quickly at the end of, like, you know, the new issue number 1. Because, you know, if we tell people, hey, new villains in issue number 1 of Amazing Spider-Man, you know, new villain, issue number 1, that will sell well. You tell people that, it'll sell well. So, like, that's definitely why I did that, so that it would sell probably better. I don't know, but it feels tacked on, because we had the main thing, and then the Norman thing, and now this. It comes, like, right at the end of the book, like, tail end of it, and it's like, okay, bit much there, guys. And, like, I assume it's all gonna have to come together somehow. I'm not really sure, because we have the Hobgoblin storyline right now, and Norman, and Hellgate. Like, it's gonna have to come together somehow. I don't know how. So, yeah, I feel like it was a bit much there, having the 3 stories there, but, yeah, overall, that's issue number 1 of Amazing Spider-Man, everything. So, overall, it's okay. Like, it's something grand, something amazing. Yeah. But yeah, it's just a setup book. That's all this first issue is. Like, it's just a setup for like what's to come, obviously. So it's a lot of just typical stuff that you expect with Spider-Man. And it's fine, obviously. I'm not sure how other people feel about it, but yeah, it's just very set up. Nothing major, nothing big. It's okay. I give it a 6 out of 10. Honestly, it's nothing. You know, that's all. It's just a lot of setup right now, and it's fine. You know, and like, yeah. And also, like, as me recording this, issue number 2 already came out yesterday. I've not gotten it yet, but I was surprised. I thought it was going to be a monthly comic. No, it's actually kind of bi-weekly. So, I don't know. I don't know why that's the case, but okay. So, yeah. I'm not sure how long I'm going to read this title, honestly, because, you know, my camera's almost out of battery. Oops. Or not out of memory space, but yeah. I'm not sure how long I'm going to read this, because, you know, I'm going to keep reading at least to the end of this storyline with Hobgoblin, then see where we go from there. Or maybe not at all. Who knows? But yeah, overall, 6 out of 10. It was an okay book. You know, nothing grand, nothing special, but I'm intrigued to see where it keeps going. You know, love the art though. Pepe Larraz, keep at it, man. Looks great. And yeah, that's my thoughts on Amazing Spider-Man number 1. Tell me, did you read Amazing Spider-Man number 1? What did you think of it? Did you not read it? Do you plan on picking up at all? Yeah, let me know what you think down below in the comment section down below. And I'll see you guys all for my next comic review, whatever that might be. So, yeah, I'll see you guys all later. Goodbye.
Hey, it's Yuri Lowenthal here. You might know me from this Marvel Spider-Man games or other places as well. You're tuned in to 100 Bomb Studios. Hit like and subscribe, but only if you like really, really nerdy stuff. Because that's why I'm here.